chances are high that the owner can actually claim his car was stolen, and you don't want that to happen. Hi guys, Arthur here again for the love of cars. I hope you love cars just as much as I love cars. So today I want to talk about, of course, the process you should go through as you go to buy your car. It's important that we understand this process properly. Of course, I have a live broadcast on the same topic, but for some people have said it's really long and they can't. So that's why I'm doing this short version so that you know what you should go through before you buy your next car and gets into your position. So of course, there are things that you need to understand that should be done by you or by people you know or by people close to you or by people you decide to go with. One. And this should be this is a must if you're going to be buying a car. You're going to want to ask yourself the question of what am I going to use the car for? When am I going to be driving the car? What am I going to be driving it daily? You need to ask yourself all those questions, because at the end of the day, nobody is going to be asking you these questions. You need to ask yourself the questions that no one else will ask you. Because normally when you tell someone I want to buy a car, for them the excitement is about a car. They don't think about the things you need. It's like when you have kids. When you have kids, everyone will be excited for you. They'll say congratulations when they come to the hospital. They'll bring you Pampers. They'll bring you all those things that they give your wife when probably, or if you're a woman, they give you when you buy, but when you have a baby. But they're not going to be there when the baby falls sick. They're not going to be there when you take them to school. They're not going to be there when you need to buy them clothes. So however much we as a culture, as African culture, we are encouraged to have kids, a lot of kids. You need to think about it yourself. Can I afford a child right now? Emotionally, physically, financially, am I supposed to be having a kid? Because what they're not responsible enough to have children. So if you're one of those people, then you should not be having kids. The same thing applies to cars. Don't just buy a car. You need to sit down and think to yourself, do I really need a car? And if you figure that you need a car, you need to ask yourself, what car do I need? It doesn't make sense for you to buy a Harrier Kaundo when you need a Primo. If you're not the kind of person that does an high net worth business, you don't need a Kaundo. Buy a simple car that will serve the purpose for which you need a car. If you're the kind of person that just need a car to go to the market, bring things at home, gura ka vitizi ukateke waka okitegeera kaleete emmere ya waka. If you're the kind of person, you're a farmer, then you start thinking, okay, should I buy a pickup? Should I buy a Probox? You start thinking in that line. Think of 9 of the cars that serve the purpose for which you need a car. Okay, now once you have thought about it for yourself, through and through, you have thought about it, the next step 1 was thinking about which car you need, thinking about the choices, thinking about the options, and then of course you come up with an option or 2. The next step is to find a confidant. Find someone that you trust, someone that you know will advise you soberly, without judgment, but without also being ashamed to tell you the truth. Okay? Find someone that you can talk to and they will give you honest feedback. And then you tell them, okay, for example, I want to buy a car, but I think I want this type and this type and this type of car. What do you think about it? And then they'll tell you, okay, I think, Arthur, the kind of car you want is good. Find someone you trust, and most of the times, don't find someone that has never driven a car. Find someone that has driven a car before. I hope I'm clear. Sometimes you want to go and ask things about cars. Try as much as possible when you're asking things of cars, ask people that have had cars. If you're asking things of building houses, ask people that have built houses before. I hope I'm clear. That's step number 2. Step number 2, and talk to someone trusted. Then brainstorm. Once you have brainstormed about which cars and which cars work, which cars don't work, what prices, which brokers you should go to, which bonds you should go to, and all that, the next step will be for you to actually make a few calls. Okay, you can make many calls if you want, but the next step will be to make calls. Now, the reason you're making calls is you want to see which options are in the market. Okay, now you're discussing still with the person that you are confiding in. Okay, for example, I want a Primo, a Super, and this is my budget. And then the brokers in the market will tell you, okay, it's here, and there. Okay, and then you round off options of the cars that you people have decided, and you know where they are. After you have done that, the next step is actually contact a mechanic. Me, I do pre-purchase inspection for people. I help people select good cars, and I come with my mechanic. Of course, you pay for that. But if you don't want to use me, then go for the mechanic. That's the next step. Find a mechanic, and then you go to the field and visit the cars. Okay? Now, when you visit the cars, you're going to be inspecting. This is very important. All the other steps are important, but this is very important. Because if you went through all the other steps, I'm thinking now you don't worry about all the other things. You're making the right choice of the car you want. Because this step is what we call inspection, a pre-purchase inspection. Inspection before you actually pay. But once you have decided, for example, I'm going to buy a Primo, you go to 5 Primos and you visit them. You need to check these things. You need to make sure that the engine is okay. Or if the engine is not okay, make sure you are buying it at a price where you buying a new engine will not disturb you. For example, if the car is 7 million market value, but the engine is 3 million, it means you'll have to buy that car 4 million so that you can later on buy an engine at 3 million. That's basic math. If the car has a faulty gearbox and the gearbox is about 1 million and 1.5 and they are selling it to you 7.5, deduct the 1.5 and then pay them the rest, and then use the 1.5 to buy a new gearbox. Simple mathematics. For example, there's a time I bought the Ipsum, which the engine was in a basin. So I bought that Ipsum. I think I paid around 2.8 or 2.5. I went and put it back together. The next day, the Ipsum was moving and I drove it. You get so, but don't do this if you don't know exactly what you're doing. Okay, so you make the choices. Then you go and inspect the engine, the gearbox. You make sure the body doesn't have any accident history, or if it has a minor accident history, make sure you know that you can stomach it, because there's some accident history that are okay. Moroka yatomere wa boda negoma mu ano ne bagitereza. Moroka yakulubula etama nilichama. There are some of those things that should not be stopping you from buying a car that you want. So you need to look at that accident history. Then, of course, you need to look at the electronics to make sure that the electronics are okay. I've told you time and again, electronics in the car are the very most expensive thing for you to repair, whether you like it or not. Repairing the electronics of the car will give you a lot of headache, because we don't have a lot of people that can repair electronics. Wiring guys, but on Uganda. And if there are few, many people are going to come and gamble on it, and you don't want that to happen. So you make sure that the electronics are in check. When you start the car, make sure that the dashboard, all the lights go off. Engine oil light, engine shake light. There is this ABS light if it has an ABS, handbrake. There's so many lights. Let me just look at them. Yeah, engine shake, oil, the battery light, ABS, then the airbag. You make sure that all those lights go off. If they don't go off, that's a signal for you to know that the car has poor electronics. Actually, all the cars that have gotten burnt down on the road have been burnt down because the wiring was poor. So don't joke with wiring. Okay? So that's why you need to take someone that knows how to check these things. Now, that you have checked a suspension system to make sure that you're not going to spend a lot of money on repairing it. Normally, when I go with someone to help them buy a car, this is what I do. When we reach the car, I get out my calculator and I start calculating for them. For example, you buy this car, for example, 5 million. You're going to need tires, 700. You're going to need shocks, 400. You're going to need lights, You're going to need this, And then I do the math for them to make sure that they understand how much they're going to spend on the car after they have bought it. And if the amount they're going to spend on the car after they have bought it doesn't make business sense, then I tell them, omanyi emmotoka eno tugyesonyiwe eyinza otufuukira ekizibu ekirala okitegeeza then you leave it and then you go to another car. Okay, you need to do all that math. Now the other things you need to inspect on a car obanga ogenza ogula, make sure that it has no police receipts. I have a video on this very channel that shows you the police app and how you can use it to check for police receipts. Download it. It's called the UPF Mobi. It's on Play Store. I don't know if it's on Apple, whatever they call it for Apple, but it's on Play Store. You can download it. No kebeda if a car has police receipts. If it has police receipts, it will bring all the receipts that are on that car. Okay. Then and when you're paying this person, make sure that you deduct the police receipts. Then you should also check multiplex, because abantu bapakinga mu kibuga batasasula natuka nabambanya emitwalo 7. Where you think you're buying a car at a bargain, the guy has multiplex receipts of 700,000 or 1.5. So you need to check, but you can check multiplex receipts using, of course, using mobile money or Airtel money. You go to mobile money, blah 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 payments, and I think multiplex, and then you put the number plate and they show you the balance. What you have done. Then the next thing you need to do is you need to check in whose names is the car in. I don't recommend that you guys buy cars that have an old logbook system. In the old logbook system, because that car, first of all, you can't buy third party, because this is the third party. You don't even need to go to an insurance agent. You buy from your mobile money. But you can't buy from your mobile money if the car is in the old logbook system. They used to be green books, but now the new logbook system, logbook ebera ku tin number ya owner. So that means even if you stole my car today, it's in my names, it's on my tin, it's still mine. It doesn't matter where you go with it. You get what? In fact, when you go to police, they'll ask you for the card for the logbook. And you will not have it because the logbook is in my system. I don't know if that makes sense. So you need to check in whose names the car is. Normally you can check that by trying to buy third party. It will show you the names of the person that owns the car. Then after that, you need to get someone from URA or a clearing agent and then call them to tell you if the car has a caveat on the logbook or it doesn't. Because if a car has a caveat, then you cannot transfer ownership. Chitegeza, the owner of this car, got a loan somewhere and they need to first pay it before they can sell the car. So you don't want to buy a car that has a loan. So if the car has a caveat, don't buy it. But you need to call someone who is either a clearing agent or works in URA to help you identify which car, to identify if the car has a caveat, to identify if the logbook has any other issue. Then he will also send you the number of the person in whose names the logbook is. And then the next thing you do is you call that person, the number you've just gotten, call them and ask them, oh, why ngenda gule mmoroka yeno ojibanja. And of course he will tell you, then umbuzi, can you help me do transfer for me? And you'll say yes. And then that's all you need. And then you pay for your car and then you drive away. But you need to do service that very day or the next day. Make sure that you do service. Change the oil filter, change the air cleaner. At least those are the two things. And check if you have an automatic gearbox and a CVT, then you remove the dipstick. Make sure there is hydraulic oil. If there is no hydraulic oil, then you top up or you can service the gearbox as well. And then you drive. I've told you time and again, I don't recommend that you start fixing your car in the first month you have bought it. Drive it for 3 months. Or at least 2 months before you start repairing. Because in those months, you have actually learned what problems, what troubles this car has. And when you learn what troubles this car has, then you can start fixing it 3 months from now. Every time someone buys a car they want to repair and make it perfect, that very week they make a loss. I've made a loss before myself. So I tell you, don't fix a car. Don't try to be the hero of your car by fixing it the very week you have bought it. Wait 2 months or 3 months. Jivugire yo. So I told you, when you buy a car, do service and that's all. And then drive. Okay. I hope I've told you the things you need to do. Okay. Because after